South Asia's busiest airport, handling 21% of the air traffic in India. 650 to 700 aircraft movements per day, with a passenger turnaround of 25.6 million and having processed 551,189 tons of cargo the financial year 2009-2010. Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport, or CSIA, has experienced exponential growth in recent times in terms of passenger traffic, aircraft movements and cargo movements. And what's more, CSIA is projected a year-on-year growth of 50 to 20%. The airport was rated as the best in the country by passengers themselves, according to a survey by Airports Council International, or ACI, a Geneva-based international body that conducts survey of airports every quarter based on passenger feedback. Globally too, CSIA ranks 4th in the 15 million passengers per annum category, a huge jump from being 18th in the second quarter of 2009. CSIA has been fairly successful in catching up with the passenger growth, but how? The adoption of technology has played a pivotal role in improving efficiencies and reducing turnaround times. This is in spite of the airport already facing major infrastructure constraints. To start with, let's see how technology is facilitating smooth passenger processing.
Currently, one is constrained with the capacity of the airport. Now, in such a situation, we have chosen to partner with SITA, which was one of the leading aviation IT specialists. One of the key reasons is their provision of the common use terminal equipment. With common use, you can actually share constrained resources. So the same check-in counters are used by multiple airlines. So airlines can come in and use a counter and then leave, and you have another airline using it. So when you're constrained and you're resource constrained, common use is the best way to go. And we are equipped with about 150 check-in counters. These are common use equipment. And we have common use self-service kiosks. There are about 55. Distributed between the domestic and the international terminals.
It obviously helps the passengers at the end of the day. For the airport, what it does is, as I told you before, it conserves space. So the same Qt workstation, the same gate, can be used by several airlines. And in fact, if you've got equipment that from time to time may fail, you can reuse the equipment 1 disk over or 2 disks over. So it helps you really in reusing the equipment overall. On the CUSS kiosks, what it does is it really busts the queues, so that it's a lot faster to process the equipment, to process the passengers through by using the kiosk. Now this is on the airport side. On the airline side, what it does is it helps the airline to quickly come into a terminal, put in their infrastructure or their software into a terminal, and at the same time it makes it quicker for them to leave as well. So for seasonal traffic, it's a lot easier for the airlines to do that, and it's a lot easier for them to use their systems and their equipment or their systems in processing the passengers. For the passengers, they're able to get their boarding pass right up to the final destination. So instead of going through in a transfer airport and trying to get a boarding pass, they can actually get all their boarding passes in the initial point of starting their journey.
Now let's have a look at how the Airport Operations Control Center, or AOCC, acts as a nerve center for managing aircraft movement.
If you look at a typical cycle, which starts from when we can see the aircraft with the ATC sees it at the radar distance, they update things to us like the 10 miles out. Now they are implementing systems which will have an interface to our SITA'S AODB. In fact, we have tasked SITA with interfacing their system to the Raytheon system which will be used by the ATC. Once we have that, we have a clear visibility of which are the aircraft expected. Now that's a huge plus in terms of knowing when the aircraft is actually going to be on your on ground, which gets the ground handlers ready with the equipment, the passenger boarding bridges, the rest of the people equipment. We update all the timings of the AODB immediately, saying 10 miles out, expected time of arrival, which is something passengers and airlines look for as key. All this information is, fed into the AODB. So that's where it comes from. Then the AODB updates things like between how many passengers, what is the expected time of departure of the aircraft, which is the stand or gate it's leaving from. So all that's done on the day at the time into the AODB. Although the ARM, like you said, is used for also long-term planning. The week's schedule would have been set out in that system on its own, but it has to integrate and feed into the AODB on a dynamic real-time basis. This then updates immediately the display which the passengers see. So that's the flight information display which tells them where is their aircraft going to take off from, so which gate should they proceed to. So all that's how it actually flows right from the AOCC up to the AODB and into the FIDS finally for the passengers to actually have a look and proceed to their gate first.
BizTech2.com also spoke to Ilya Gutlin, Head of Airport Business for SITA, on how the Airport Operations Database, Flight Display Management System and the Resource Management Solution operate in a holistic manner.
Well, they do operate in a holistic manner because at the end of the day, it's for the airport to take in all the information and build the interfaces into the different systems within the airport, not just our SITA systems, but external systems as well, and then allocate desks, allocate gates, and this is done, many basically months in advance. So yes, it does operate in a very holistic way and then provides the information for the passengers through the FID screens.
So this was about how things stand now. Moving forward, the authorities want to convert CSIA into a smart next generation airport.
Future is probably not going to be any simpler. It's going to be higher passenger expectations. They're going to expect more operational efficiencies, more throughput, more speed. So one of the things we're looking at from SITA is their next generation kiosks, which actually have passport readers and ability to accept baggage. So it makes the experience of the passenger that much simpler and seamless. The next generation Q terminals they have are capable of, actually being off-site. You could use them off-site. So it can actually help passengers check in, not necessarily on airport premises, but off-site. So we're looking at, more and more innovative ways of helping them through the entire airport process. In the entire space, SITA has a number of solutions that we see can help us, right from baggage tracking to departure and their new generation kiosks, to security related or passenger tracking.
Our future plans is to build on the infrastructure that we have in the airports already to be able to provide business intelligence for the airports to make sure that they make quick decisions at the right time by the right people. And the way to do it is to work through the systems that we have in place right now to be able to track the aircraft that the airports have on the runways, track the passengers that are going through the terminal right now, track the equipment, track the vehicles that are working in the airports.
The world of aviation is going to witness a sea change in how technology will enable airports and airlines to let the passengers have a safe and pleasant travel.
SITA was the first vendor out there with a proper system in accordance with the current IATA regulations. The system is called CUSS, and it basically it's a large improvement on the current common use system. Now, the way I think aviation is going with regards to passenger processing is more and more passengers are starting to use self-service. They start to use web, they start to use mobile. So the issue for the airports becomes less giving them a boarding pass on arrival and more towards tracking the passengers through the terminal. And what we're doing right now and doing successfully is rolling out tools in order to be able to track the passengers through the terminals to make sure that operationally the airports and the airlines are able to get the passengers to the gate on time and be able to close the gates.